This is the Google Pixel 4, and 4 months ago when I bought this phone, I said that this was the worst use of $800, and I'm still right. It is the absolute worst use of $800. Let me tell you why. So let's go way back to October 24th, the day this phone was launched. So the event was held, I believe, around 2 weeks before that, and I have been very hard on this phone up till this point. I made a video about the entire launch event. I was extremely critical about it. And then the unboxing video I made on that day as well, very critical. But I think there's a valid reason for this. So let me start off launch day, how it went. So I went at about 10 a.m. That was opening time at Best Buy, and I really didn't expect much of a hype. I was thinking maybe 1 or 2 people might show up to buy the phone. I was wrong. There was nobody, but I was still the 6th person in line at 10 a.m. in the morning at Best Buy on a random Tuesday. And every single person ahead of me, I'm not even joking, I wish I was joking, every single person in front of me was buying an iPhone 11. Not a Pro, just the iPhone 11. 5 people, 5 out of 5, iPhone 11. It was crazy. I was just kind of like, you couldn't make this up if you wanted to. It was so funny. But eventually, I got the phone and got out of there. I ended up paying $865 with tax for the 64GB clearly white, smaller Pixel 4. Now you're wondering, why did I go with the smaller one? Because clearly that was going to have worse battery life. And why did I not buy the larger storage version? 2 reasons. One, really, I didn't feel like spending that much money on this phone at all. $865 itself is a ripoff, so I didn't want to spend any more money. Secondly, the Pixel 4 XL is going to have horrible battery life anyways. It's not like the 4 and the 4 XL would have been a big jump. I knew both were going to have despicable battery life, so I was like, might as well. And the most important one has to be, I just prefer smaller phones. So since I knew this wasn't going to be my main phone at any point ever, I was like, let's just get the smaller one that's more comfortable. And that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years anyways. I got the smaller Pixel 2, I got the smaller Pixel 3, so I thought might as well just continue the tradition with the smaller Pixel device. Now, I want to summarize a lot of the negative feelings I had about the Pixel 4, even before I ever had the phone in my hand. So I have this list written down here, and excuse me if I look down, but I'm going to read it right off the list. So this is what I summarized even before I ever had the phone in my hand. It had a smaller battery life than the Pixel 3 XL, which was already below average. Project Soli seemed underwhelming and overhyped. The lack of an ultra-wide camera on the back, when every other phone in this price range, even under this price range, had it, was very disappointing. No more unlimited photos like Google Photo Storage at full resolution. You had to select lower resolution or pay for it. This is one of the key reasons why Google, in my opinion, got away without having higher storage options on their phone, and they kept pushing the Google Photos thing, but suddenly 3 years in, they've given up and they're like, nah, you're not going to get free unlimited storage. So that's a big drawback in my opinion. They only have 2 available storages, 64 and 128. That's a bit disappointing. The Pixel 4 XL has a worse screen-to-body ratio than the Pixel 3 XL. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I'm okay with chins versus notches, but it seems like a step back, which was very disappointing to me. No 4K 60 FPS recording flat, like not at all. You can't do it at all. And you can't do 60 FPS recording from the front camera in any video setting. That's very upsetting. Every other phone at this price point, phones that cost $300 can do this. I don't know why the Pixel cannot. The face unlock does not have the important safety features such as attention aware, so I can literally have my eyes closed. I can be sleeping and someone can put my phone up to my face and unlock it. That does not seem very secure. It's very distracting. I don't know why they didn't do that. The 90 hertz screen was proven to not be running 90 hertz all the time. It would only go into 90 hertz when the screen display was over 75% and met the ambient light conditions. Now that's very disappointing as well, because what's the point of having a 90 hertz screen if you can only use it in very certain situations? The OnePlus 7 Pro didn't have this issue, so I don't have no idea why the Pixel does this. Most likely to save battery. Now, the display brightness is also a big issue that I don't see a lot of people talking about. The display brightness on this is comparably weaker compared to the competition. So this comes in at a peak brightness of 444 nits, so 444 nits. And just to give you guys a comparison point, the iPhone 11, which I would say is probably the biggest competitor for this phone, tops out at 644 nits. Now, it doesn't sound like a big difference, but let me tell you the more expensive AMOLED phones where they top out. The iPhone 11 Pro goes to a peak brightness of 1290 nits. Same way the Galaxy S10 goes to a peak brightness of 1215 nits. So it is, these phones, the 11 Pro and the S10, are 3 times as bright as the Pixel 4 out in the sun, and it is very clearly noticeable. Now, these are all complaints I had before I even got the phone in my hand. So some of these opinions have changed for the better, most of them for the worse, but let me summarize my experience after I got the phone. After 4 months, my biggest complaint still is battery life. And that I always knew this was going to be a big complaint. It's just not good. They went down from the Pixel 3, which was below average as it was, you know. The battery life wasn't anything to talk about. So add on a more power-hungry display with a 90 hertz and add on a smaller battery capacity. It's, you know, there's just no way you can make that up. And the software optimization on this is not as good. Standby time is very terrible. So, you know, you leave the phone overnight, you're going to lose at least 10 to 15% of charge from what I've noticed. And it's not, I just can't really, I can't put into words how disappointing this is, because battery is one thing that everybody's actually figured out by this point. They've either put in larger batteries, they've optimized, they've done something to make sure that you can get a full day's use out of almost every single phone. But this phone, I don't get it. So quickly enough into this venture, I learned that the Pixel actually disables the Soli radar in certain countries. Now, I first saw this on Twitter when Austin Evans posted that he went to Japan and the phone kicked off that feature. It automatically blocked it off when it noticed it was in that country. Same thing happened to me when I came to India. The second I unlocked the phone, boom, disabled, you can't use it here. It's something that I can't understand why Google would not think of beforehand. It's like, did you not realize that this was not going to happen and, you know, either work around it and get the regulations passed or just not include the chip at all? Because moving on, this chip is not that good. The radar is just terrible. It has 2 key features. One, it's going to learn when you put your hand close to the phone so it knows when it can unlock. And 2, you can swipe over it like this to skip tracks. Neither of these work that well. The unlock thing, it's very trigger happy. So the second it realizes I'm close to it, even though it might just be me moving my hands around completely differently, it trips it, the phone unlocks, and of course, since it's facial unlock and it doesn't have the attention aware assist, it just immediately unlocks when it sees my face, and boom, I'm done. I got so tired of this feature, I actually turned it off. And one of the most notable things about the Soli radar chip is that there are 3 major countries that do not allow it: Japan, Mexico, and India. Really huge oversight in my opinion. So moving on, let's talk about the biometrics. So I was okay with moving to facial unlock. I've used it on the iPhone for a while. I got to learn how it works. It's actually a lot more convenient in situations. And I was okay with Google moving to it. I had no criticisms. I know a lot of people were complaining that why didn't they just stick to the fingerprint scanner? They wanted the fingerprint scanner. I was okay with it initially. But boy, was I wrong. Since it doesn't have the attention awareness features, which Google, by the way, promised at launch that they will roll out an update in the coming months to add these features. It's been 4 months. No such feature has come out. We don't even know if it's going to come out at this point. So the facial unlock is still pretty insecure. So if you're sleeping, you're not paying attention, someone can just hold it up to your face and it'll unlock. If that's something you worry about, if that's something you don't want, you're probably just best turning it off. And another annoying issue is that it does not work even if the phone is slightly off axis in an angle. So if I use my iPhone XR and I put it side by side, I'll put a video up as well. If I use the iPhone XR like this or like this and I look at it, the phone will still unlock. However, the Pixel, you have to have it dead center, at least relatively close to center. Otherwise, you're not going to get it to unlock. It just kind of locks out. So I don't know what it is. You could say it's security that it doesn't want you to do it off center, but it just seems a little bit weak, to be honest. It seems like it's not doing its job as well as the iPhone is doing. Another issue I've had, I don't know if this is limited to me, but I have noticed that I've had issues with wireless charging. I have 3 different types of wireless chargers at my house, and I've used all of them. I tried on all of them, and my Pixel just hates wireless charging. It sits down, it starts wireless charging, and then a couple of minutes in, it just stops charging, and it starts to get crazy hot, and it just won't charge. It'll, in fact, lose charge in a lot of situations, which drives me crazy. Now, I've had issues with my Pixel 3s in the past as well, with it not wanting to work with some wireless chargers. So now in this situation, I'm not sure if my Pixel is at fault or it's a defect that is, widespread. So if you do have issues with wireless charging on your Google Pixels, do let me know down in the comments below. Maybe we can find out if there's an issue with Google or an issue with the chargers. So another weird thing that I found out after using this phone is that since it is not symmetrical, since the chin on the top is a lot larger than the chin on the bottom, the screen, when you watch videos, the screen will obviously show you the videos that are not full screen. Since it has a 18:9 aspect ratio, it will show them in the center, which is actually off center on the Pixel, and it is very noticeable. Once you notice it, you can't unnotice it, and then you just want to put it in full screen to watch. Otherwise, it looks like you're looking at a video off center. Small detail, but it's something that does bug me. And once I realized it and once I saw it, I just couldn't watch the videos without it going into full screen. Now, luckily, most apps allow it. Some apps don't. So, your results may vary, but that is something that definitely bugs me. So let's talk about that 90 hertz display. This is going to be one of the key selling features for this phone. I feel like a lot of people were excited about it. I too was, I was moderately excited about it. I didn't, really. I've not been, 90 hertz is not a selling factor to me. It's a bonus. I like it if it's there. I would not mind if it's not there, at least for now. Maybe in the future that might change. But this 90 hertz screen is very weird. So when it initially launched, people quickly discovered that the phone actually switched down to 60 hertz if it was below 75% brightness. So you had to be either 75 to 100% brightness for the 90 hertz to be in effect. Now, add on top of this, actually I learned that there has to be ambient light conditions that have to be met. So the ambient light sensor on your phone, it has to sense that you are in a certain type of lighting environment for 90 hertz to kick on. So this was very quickly realized by a lot of people. They were complaining about it. Google said they will give an update that will bring this down. And to their credit, they did push out an update for this, but it's not a big improvement. Now you can use 90 hertz when the screen is above 42% brightness, and you can't use it when it's below. And that's a problem for someone like me because I get migraines a lot. So I am very sensitive to light a lot of the time. And when that is the situation, I usually keep my brightness all the way down. So that means that a lot of times I can't use this phone in 90 hertz, which means I had to go into settings and actually force enable 90 hertz at every kind of, make sure that it stays on all the time. That is not something you should be doing. It should not be a feature. 90 hertz should be 90 hertz constant. OnePlus 7 does this. OnePlus 7 Pro does this. I don't know why Google can't. And another big thing is that while I don't know how to put this in relative terms, it's just the 90 hertz on the Pixel does not feel like 90 hertz does on the 7 Pro. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's, just my eyes or whatever, but I definitely felt like the 7 Pro was a lot smoother compared to the Pixel 4. I actually forget a lot of times that this phone even has a 90 hertz screen, and that's weird because I use an iPhone 11 Pro side by side every day, and that only has a 60 hertz display, so I should be noticing because I use these two side by side, but I never notice. I can't tell. I keep after reminding myself, oh wait, yeah, this has a 90 hertz screen, doesn't it? So it's a very weird thing going on here. So moving on from the display, let's talk about the thing that the Pixel is known for, its camera. So this time around, the cameras just don't impress as much as they used to. So the Pixel 2 and Pixel 3, they were definite steps ahead of the competition. You could tell there were certain areas where they dominated and no one even got close. This year, that's not the case anymore. The competition, particularly the iPhone, has taken a huge leap up in the time that the Pixel has remained the same. So that the one selling feature they had, the camera, is no longer really a selling feature because the iPhone has the same thing. So, it's actually, there used to be a big bridge there, and that was one of the main reasons why I would let the Pixel have a pass on a lot of the downfalls. I criticized the Pixel 2 and 3 a lot, but I still ended up using them a lot because the cameras on them were truly something special. Now they're just, they seem like they're cutting corners. There's a lot of missing video features. Video just overall is very poor on this phone when you compare it to any other phone actually at this price point. And it's just 10 steps behind the iPhone when it comes to video. So it's not a whole all-around package. If you are looking at doing, portrait photography and stuff like that, I'd say that it still has a slight edge, but beyond that, really not that big of a difference. So a lot of negative. Let me move to some stuff that is actually good. So when Pixel 3 to Pixel 4, when they moved from front-firing speakers to bottom-firing, I was expecting this to be a step down, but I was proven wrong. I've listened to both of these phones side by side. Actually, the speaker quality, I prefer the Pixel 4, even though it has the bottom-firing speaker. It just sounds a lot better. It is definitely louder, and you know, there's something going for the Pixel 4 finally. And, you know, I'll give credit where credit is due. The design of the Pixel 4 is really nice. It's got a very clean look, and I do definitely like this matte finished glass. It doesn't get any smudges, or it doesn't show fingerprints. I love that. This is one of the few phones I very, you know, freely use without a case or a, you know, protector on the back to prevent smudges. I love it. I think that that's one of the good things Google got right, and I'm hoping moving forward they do keep these kind of design elements that are working for them. The camera bump, very iPhone-esque. They're definitely trying to, you know, emulate the iPhone type feelings. I do see people kind of get confused sometimes too. Even though the camera bumps are different, since they are both square-shaped, I do see people kind of thinking that this is an iPhone. So while it's definitely not a one-to-one copy, it definitely emulates a lot of the iPhone's aesthetic, which is okay. You know, the iPhone is a good-looking phone in my opinion. So while I did bash the camera, there are some redeeming features here, and the biggest one I want to talk about is the front camera. The front camera, I think, is still the best front camera you can get on a phone right now. It just does a lot, and it's good in low light. It's good with a lot of different features. I like it. I really wish they still kept that ultra-wide angle lens on the front of the Pixel like they had last year. I'm sad that it's not there, but the field of vision is definitely improved from the standard lens of that year, so it is pretty equivalent to what the iPhone has right now. But otherwise, the quality of the front camera is just leaps and bounds ahead of the competition, especially the iPhone. Another cool thing is that the night mode actually works on both the front and the back cameras. On the iPhone, it only works on the main rear camera. It does not work on the other lenses, not even the front camera. So that's a big, you know, plus to Google right off the bat. So if you're going to be taking a lot of selfies indoor, or in low light conditions, that's an immediate win for the Pixel, and that's why I still do carry the Pixel a lot, because whenever I'm taking a selfie, I immediately default to the Pixel. Everything else the iPhone takes care of now, but for selfies, I do stick to the Pixel 4. One of the last things, it's not a big thing, but it is certainly a small step ahead of iPhone when it comes to portrait photos. The edge detection is still very impressive. There's no longer as much of a gap as there used to be with the Pixel 2 to iPhone 10 2 years ago, but there are still minute differences. So if you do zoom in and look at detail, especially with hair and stuff, the iPhone is still just a little bit lagging there, where the Pixel has definitely, you know, just kept its lead there. So portrait photos still, you know, I wouldn't mind getting them taken from Pixel. I do miss that we don't have the wide angle option anymore. You do have to use the 2x telephoto. That was something I loved on the Pixel 3 and 2. I don't know why they don't have it as an option. They clearly have been doing it forever, and they can still do it. It's just something that Google is just doing that, again, confuses me. And the one unique feature, this is unique to Google, and I love it. It's something that definitely blew me away, and is not a gimmick, as a lot of Google features tend to be. It is voice dictation and the live transcribe feature. I was so impressed by this. I was trying to mess with it all, and I tried to trip it up. It works so well. The live transcribe is amazing. What you say gets converted to text in real time. It sorts them by text. You can search by text. It's amazing. And the thing that really blew me away is that it even adds punctuation. Can you even imagine that? This is literally doing the job of a person. It is transcribing your stuff in real time with punctuation. It's insane. I think that this is one of the features that definitely sets the phone apart from any other phone on the market. And to finish things off, one thing I haven't talked about is performance. So performance has always been questionable with the Pixel phone. So the Pixel 2 had performance issues, the Pixel 3 had performance issues later into its life, and I don't have a lot of high hopes for the Pixel 4 either. It's using a 1-year-old Snapdragon chip at this point. It's only got 6 gigs of RAM, which isn't enough for Android, let's be real. And it's just, you know, Google has not been good about long-term performance stability with these phones. I've seen it, you know, I personally have the issues with my Pixel 2, Pixel 3 after a couple of months of usage. Right now, I'll be honest, you know, I'll give it to Google. Right now, it performs fine. I haven't seen an issue, but I have known that after 6-8 months of using it does start to show its age, and that's not good. You know, most other Android phones don't do it so quickly. It takes a little bit longer, but the Pixel definitely has that issue. I haven't experienced it yet. If I do, I will update you guys, but for now, the performance is fine. I just don't have a lot of faith in its long-term reliability. So wrapping things up, I still stand by my conclusion. I said that this phone is a waste of $800, and I still think it is a waste of $800. The thing with this phone is, if there's any phone that has shortcomings, or if there's something or the other missing, what I can do is in these conclusions say, okay, this phone isn't the greatest for everybody, but there is this group of people that might enjoy it. There is that group of people. So I try to find the niche that this phone could fill, that any phone could fill, if it's not perfect, if it's not a good all-rounder. And I haven't had any issues doing that in the past. But right now, with the Pixel 4, I just can't do that. I can't recommend this phone to anyone. There is nothing that sets it apart. There's nothing that makes it stand out. This phone will be forgotten. And, it's honestly its own fault, because it does nothing that's unique. It's nothing great. It's nothing special. And that's Google's fault. Because just think about this. If you want maximum performance, you're either going to go with the iPhone 11 or the OnePlus 7 Pro route. If you want the best camera, you're going to go with the iPhone. If you want a good all-round Android phone, you're probably going to end up with the Galaxy S10 Plus, Note 10. If you want, highest specs, everything, you're probably going to end up with the Asus ROG phone. So it's just that the Pixel really doesn't live up to anything now. It's a phone out there that's trying to emulate being an iPhone, but it does a very poor job of emulating the iPhone, and it's not sitting well with a lot of Android users as well. As you notice, there's not a lot of people defending the Pixel 4 or even buying it. There's just not that many people. There's a very small group of people doing that, and that's what it ends up being, right? You can't, Google is very, I don't know how to put it in words. They're just screwing up here. They don't see why they're messing up. It's just what it feels like. They have very little interest in doing things right. I really did think that this year they would turn their stuff around. We've complained so much with the Pixel 2, the Pixel 3. I was hoping they'd take this feedback into consideration. Of course, they didn't. So right now, I'm honestly just looking forward to the Pixel 4a. That phone promises to fix a lot of features and a lot of issues I have with the Pixel 4. And most importantly, it is probably going to be at a much lower price point. If the Pixel 4 launched at $500 or even $600, let me be real. If it was $600 for this phone, I think it would be a little bit of a different story. I could give it a pass on a lot of things. At $800, at $900, and maxing out at about $1,000, there's nothing I can give a pass on. The competition is so fierce now, and not just with the iPhone, just within Android, the competition is so fierce. I don't see why it would be a smart choice for anybody to buy a Pixel over any other Android phone in that price point. So that's it for this one, guys. If you have any questions about the Google Pixel 4, let me know down in the comments below. I would be happy to answer. And again, I'm not trying to be overtly negative. It's just this phone has not met expectations. So, that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. This hasn't met expectations. Hopefully Google learns from this, but from history, we know they don't. So it is what it is. If you haven't already, guys, I would appreciate if you follow me on social media. All the links right down here, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the content. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.